And we do have some developing political news this afternoon. With early voting already underway, President Trump has now given an endorsement in the Republican primary for U.S. Senate. The president is endorsing Ken Paxton. Paxton is trying to unseat incumbent John Cornyn. Both men have been vying for the president's endorsement for months, and other Republicans have been anxiously waiting to hear from the president as well. In a post on Truth Social, the president said, "I know Ken well, have seen him tested at the highest and most difficult levels, and he is a winner. Ken is a strong supporter of terminating the filibuster and, very importantly, the Save America Act." The president went on to say that he knows Paxton well and has seen him tested at the highest levels of difficulty, as we were saying. He says he's a winner and a strong supporter of President Trump's initiatives.